In this video, I'm going to talk about reviewing. Look at this picture at the top right corner. Here you see two tomatoes. The question here is which tomato is big and which tomato is small? This may seem a foolish question, but every one of us is going to say that the left one is small and the right one is big, right? It's true. There is no doubt about that. Question is, how do we decide on that? I mean, what is big and what is small? Big means larger than the most of the things we have seen up until now. For example, I am 40 years old, and all 40 years of my life I have seen a lot of tomatoes, like everybody. The tomato I see on the right is bigger than the average size of all the tomatoes I have seen all my 40 years of life. That means we have to get information about something more than once to calculate an average value for it to identify it in the future. Did you realize that as soon as you see a tomato, you can identify it because you have seen it many times? It is like review. Every time we see the same object or hear the same sound of a word, we are kind of making a review. If you don't review what you learned before, it's nearly lost. Reviewing completes learning. Personally, I try to make my reviews like this. First review after 1 day, second review after 3 days, third review after 7 days. But this is not always possible. To be honest, if I could make only one review, I consider myself doing well. Another question here is how to know what to review the next day. How to know what to review the next day is to writing down the words you have learned on a notebook. An example page of my notebook you see here on the left side. Do not write on an easily get lost single paper. I usually start the day writing down the date of the day first. Doing so, I can easily identify what I studied every day. Personally, I never try to use my brain like a pen and a paper. I use my brain to think. The next day before continue, first I review the subjects that I learned yesterday. The more we repeat, the more easily we can remember. Our brain brings up the most used words, pushes down the least used words, just like a Google search. We can make review to learn and make review not to forget what we have learned. Learning a language requires a lot of effort. For me, it requires nearly the same effort not to forget it. This is our nature. If we don't use a word, our brain decides that this word is no more needed. Only the most used information is kept alive. Which information we need to keep alive? It depends on what we want. The more we feel through our five senses, the more we are likely to remember. Learning is an investment, so there should be a return in the future. learn what words gives you the return. Nobody can learn all the words in a language, even native speakers. It is impossible and nobody needs it.